At the T-minus 3-minute mark, tape recorders on board the spacecraft were turned on. These recorders record both voice and data. Now building up to 7.7 million pounds of thrust. And we have a liftoff. Moving back. The Saturn V lifting off of
This is 105.9 The Radiator. We are here for Rocket Shop Radio Hour. Just as we do every Wednesday, we bring you great Vermont artists with their great Vermont music. Today is no exception at all. We have David Rosane and the Zookeepers in the studio. Thank you so much for joining us. It is a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks for the invitation.
Absolutely. It's great to have you here. And just as an introduction, they're a collective of artists, multinational in origin, and they're activists, artists, and get together to do incredible things for their community. We're going to talk a lot about that later, but we'd love to start it off with music if we may.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, we're gonna start off with our dirtiest song, but it's okay. This guy was I was so delighted when David Lynch he came back into the third series for Twin Peaks. I was like so happy. There was just one gross episode after another, and at the time we were doing LL Bean meets fiddle music, and I said, guys, we got to change this. We got to do synth pop retro 50s 60s with gross lyrics. So here we go.
Nice.
I found my baby in a garbage can. I get my sunshine wherever I can. I saw my dream girl in a magazine. I take my sunshine with sugar and cream, with sugar and cream. I am so tired of broken hearts, and I've had my fill, baby, of broken parts. I see them shopping, I hear them laugh. I'm gonna do so much better than a bigger, better half. I'm gonna find me a lady in the middle of the night. Oh, what a lady, oh, what a night. And I'll find her naked, sweep her off her feet. 'Cause I take my sunshine with gasoline, with gasoline. I saw me a woman by the side of the road. I think I saw her smile at me on my way home. I found her later in that same old garbage can. I can see the sunset wherever I am, wherever I am. I'm gonna build me a fire full of magazines, cigarette I'm gonna light me a fire with gasoline. There goes my baby, my sugar and cream, my sugar and cream, my sugar and cream.
That was Sugar and Cream from David Rosane and the Zookeepers. An awesome performance in the studio. I'm going to say thanks again, and I'm going to thank you 40 more times before the show is over. Thank you so much.
Big shout out to Big Heavy World, because you guys do. It is so quintessentially, awesomely Vermont. What you guys, the energy in the state is high enough as it is, but you guys just bring it up a notch.
Thank you so much, David.
I mean, going out and getting all the names of the bands of. And fill me in if I'm missing something that you do.
All the fisheye.
all those fisheye photos.
So people out there, if you're not already connected to Big Heavy, go out and like the Facebook page and check out all the amazing fisheye photography.
Yeah, absolutely. Jump on bigheavyworld.com. There's a lot to check out there. And you've got a lot to check out as well. You've got a lot of music behind you. This is the third album from Dave Rosane and the Zookeepers, 14 tracks on the new album, The Book of Zoo. Can we talk a little bit about that album and how it came about? I understand that it's a non-profit album at the center of a non-profit tour. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir. It's the center of a library benefit tour. Because we were looking for a fun way to join Luke Skywalker and the Resistance. I sort of woke up one day with the idea, and I live in Paris half the year, so I Skyped Don and Jed. Said, I got to talk to you now. And what if we take Book of Zoo and make a library tour and just give all? We're not making any money making music. Let's give all the money to the libraries. And my mind tends to work that way anyway. When I was working in academia doing research in the Amazon in tropical ecology, I couldn't just be there and not do outreach and humanitarian work with native people living in the Amazon. I just couldn't, so I brought the two together. It's the same thing here. So we're playing music in libraries, raising awareness money, it's kind of a non-zero sum win-win thing, and in that people are actually listening to our music now.
And it's a very beautiful thing. And it's a very beautiful thing. We all appreciate it on behalf of everybody who loves local libraries. There's over a dozen stops on the tour. How's it been going so far? How's it been performing in library spaces?
Well, you get to learn. Originally, I come from a very, very. I use the word eviscerated because it used to be a booming mill town, and it's a ghost town now. But there's this one public library left standing. So, Richford, sorry. And so this gives us the opportunity to go out and look at the full spectrum of who's being hit where and who's being hit the hardest. But I sent an email to you, remember, today about I was in discussion with Cheryl, who runs the library in Bakersfield. Right. And I said, "Oh my God, did you see Did you see the article in Forbes written by this guy who said that we should take out all the public libraries in the States and just replace them with Amazon.com outposts?"
Right. Yeah, an abandonment of the local library scene.
And she said, not only did I see it, but there was a huge outcry. So Forbes actually took the article off their website.
Good.
And so now there's kind of a hashtag things like librarians are no longer silent, which is great.
Yeah.
And plus, we're making lots of noise in them too. So.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm glad that you're standing up for them and letting people know that it's important. I mean, I'm glad to see that there's an outroar. Personally, I'm glad that they took it down as well. So as you're going along, you're having these different tours. You're advocating literacy, community, and freedom of speech for young people, old people alike, and their local libraries. What experiences do you have? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but in your life, I'm sure that there's been libraries that mean something to you, or perhaps an educator that means something to you. What is a library? What is a local library? What happens there?
Well, I used to think it was for me locally the place where I would go work. I'll do a lot of writing.
Nice.
And I just love the silence. And you listen. It's not kind of a silence because it's kind of a white noise, and there's just people working. So there's a whole bunch of people making noise with their heads. And I never really thought twice about it, but now I'm actually learning so much about libraries. This is a total and guys, please chime in and say something, and don't listen to me just blah, blah, blah for hours.
Yeah, it was, if you did a research paper, you went to the library, which, there was no internet. That was cool. And then when my kids were little, it was a great place to take them for a couple hours. A library in our town of Bradford would put on these kids programs, and then they'd want to hang around for another hour just going through the books. It was great. It's really, really a great thing for kids. I think it gets them, into reading. And my boys are both big readers, so I think that had a lot to do with it.
When I first contacted the libraries to see if they wanted to partner with us, those that said yes initially invited us to come by for a little meeting. So I would get in my car, this was back in December, and drive to the library in Fairfax or Hyde Park, what have you, and learned in the process that a lot of these libraries work, especially in the smaller towns, as hubs, because there is no Wi-Fi. People don't necessarily have a computer at home,
right?
And so they come and they read the paper, and so it's a small village without a stop, not even one red light, a stoplight. People just go hang out at the library,
right?
So they're becoming community centers. I think they now even rent out snowshoes in the winter.
Oh,
they've
lovely.
got computers, and it's a good place for teens to go hang out where they don't have resources, maybe to.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, we saw a great participation of local libraries in Make Music Day this year as we were going out and securing places for individuals and bands to go and play. The public libraries, Starksboro, Aldrich, all over Vermont, were jumping on it, and they were all into it, and I loved that. And they had shows for kids, shows for all ages, and I was kind of surprised by the reaction that I saw, that they are so active and ready to serve their community, and it's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah. Well, we were too late to get in the calendar year to get because we had the idea around October, and a lot of the companies who would have donated some sponsor money were closing their books, and we were unheard of, and they need to. So this year we're building up a case for doing it again next year.
Great.
And a lot of the beer companies, Vermont beer companies, got back and said, this is a great idea because it's small businesses, and that's what libraries are, and that's what we're fighting for.
Absolutely.
So I think we have a good chance next year. And the Vermont Department of Libraries finally called us 2 or 3 weeks ago and said, we'll help you do this again better this year, with better as in with more means.
Great. Yeah, they're seeing the effort you're putting forth for sure, and I will thank you again on behalf of everyone for putting forth that effort and raising awareness and advocating for what you are. And before we get into another track, would you mind, David, introducing the rest of the Zookeepers to us, who may be present today?
Well, this charming couple, Don and Jen, adopted me. They found me kind of ambling about Vermont with a L. Beans thing, just a guitar, and so they've become. Well, actually, I was touring with a French band back in. We were hanging out at the Monkey House. It was 2000 and something, and they were playing, and we were playing, and there was nobody else in the bar. So we were their audience, and they were our audience, and they were from Bradford, and we were from Paris, France. And so one thing led to another, just a classic case of serendipity. And then a few years later, I returned with Lucie, a French violinist who could play the violin and tap dance at the same time. That went across real big in Vermont.
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh my gosh.
And we toured together, and they more importantly, as far as the music is concerned, Don and then we decided to start a band together. So Don and Jen do a lot for their community. I'm going to let them speak about that. So you go ahead and talk about Summer Street.
Oh, Summer Street. Okay, we host a house concert venue at our house, and we've been doing that for about 8 years, and out of that has grown sort of a movement locally to hashtag Keep Music Alive. We're
Nice.
trying valiantly to, and it's starting to take hold, I think, to help our community, at least in a grassroots way, learn the value of live music. And that also seems to be, we're connecting with other arts organizations in the area.
Absolutely.
To help our community learn about the cultural economy and how much it benefits the general economy.
Yeah.
All that energy is starting to really take hold in our area right now. So we're in an exciting time.
Yeah.
Somebody said to us, there's a lot of other little local concerts that popped up. A lot of other little local concerts that popped up around Bradford. And we were talking to somebody. It's getting a little bit harder to get people out to ours. And they go, well, you cost it.
Yeah, well, D&J Music's such a huge part of Make Music Day this year. And for those of you who don't know, Make Music Day every year, June 21st, international celebration of the beauty of making music publicly with friends, with random people on the street, in your homes, on your porches, on your streets. Check it out, makemusicday.org. Happens every year, and it'll surely be a huge hit next year after the turnout this year.
Yeah.
So we thank you for that. Awesome effort put forth on your part, and we commend you for that. We could talk for days. Can we get back into another tune, please?
Yes, but during the library tour, we surprised the audience. It's kind of a fringe, I wouldn't say fringe theater act, but we have fun on stage and try and have fun in a very interactive way with the audience. And so, and we use key words that we learn, like serendipity. What does that mean? Okay, well, instead of writing a set list for the gig, we throw this I throw it behind my back. It's called Bag of Zoo, from Book of Zoo, and somebody catches it and opens it up and picks a card, and that is the song we play.
Beautiful.
Okay, so I'm going to throw it at you. There you go.
Oh.
You get to pick.
So you get to pick the song we're going to
For those of you listening, I just caught a small purple bag from across the room here. Well, I'll tell you that I caught it, even though. All right, so reaching in randomly to pull out a track, we have Enemy.
Enemy.
Great. It's 105.9. We've got David Rosane and the Zookeepers in the studio for a live performance.
So our apologies to John Lennon on this one. That's It's Easy If You Try, backwards. Who is my enemy? I wish I had me an enemy. In a world without no enemies, what would be? What would be? Who is my enemy? I'm super happy you're my enemy. In a world without no enemies, who am I? Hey, hey. What am I? In a world without no stranger danger. In a world without no borders or frontiers. In a world without no enemies, what would be? Where is my enemy? I wish I saw me an enemy. In a world without no enemies, what would be? What would be? Ba 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 da da ba ba da ba 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 da ba 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 da da ba 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 da. Do I really need this flag? Do I really need this song to tell the world just who I am? To tell the world where I belong? Where I belong. Who is my enemy? I wish I had me an enemy. In a world without no enemies, what would be? What would be? What would be?
All right, that was a live performance of Enemy by David Rosane and the Zookeepers live in the studio. Another track from their new album, Book of Zoo. A lovely album, 14 songs, all packed. I listened to it today for the first time and really enjoyed it. Hold it in my hand here for anybody watching on YouTube. You can see the cover right here. And as you were playing that song, I read on the back, songs by David Rosane, arranged by Jennifer Grossi and Don Sinclair, concept by Zoo. And I'm interested to know more about this because I saw on your Bandcamp, I saw everywhere I looked that this is very much
The land of
engaged.
zoo.
Yeah, it's a very much an engaged community of people rather than just the three of you. From what I can tell, there's a lot of people to thank on your, you know what I mean, on your records. There's a lot of I would love to know more about your approach to being a band or being a collective with so many people having so much to input.
Have as much bloody fun as possible.
Beautiful. I love that.
And I write very dark songs. Like the guy who did the graphic design, Guillaume, he's a French guy. He's a French painter, an artiste, a graphic designer. And so I said, I've got this song called Enemy. And I didn't even have to explain the lyrics to him. He says, yes, without enemies, we are nothing. So I said, he's going to... And a friend of ours who wants to remain anonymous did these really creepy drawings for the booklet. And so Guillaume picked up on it and did a Jules Verne thing. Meanwhile, we were getting dressed up. I said we stopped the LL Bean aesthetic and headed for the hills. And I want when I do a gig in Vermont, I want people to ask me, "Are you from like New Orleans or something?" and be able to say no. But so we kind of crafted this Tim Burton-y Dr. Seuss. So I'm Thing 2 and he's Thing 1. And there's the cat in the hat. So it goes well with the dark lyrics, because I used to be the moody kind of Nick Cave of the band. So you just come on, look depressed, sing depressing songs, and leave crying. And now we tell jokes between songs.
Between
Lovely.
depressing songs.
Well, there's a beautiful balance there then. In that case, I mean, I really enjoy it, the lyrical content and the lighthearted attitudes that you all have. Speaking about traveling around a little bit, David, it seems you have a rather apparent love for the wilderness, for the forest. I mean, that's quite obvious in your past in your ecological endeavors, but you also have a love for civilization, it seems. Like it's a duality of...
It's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah. What can you say about
I've been struggling with the dualism of nature versus city my whole life, and from an ecological and scientific standpoint, it's something that we created. It's a construct, literally. We are animal species who evolved out of the African continent and started creating cities and trying to make life easier for ourselves, also more ethical. If you compare the warring tribes of yesteryear, and if you actually crunch the numbers and look at the violence in human history compared to, it's actually declining.
Okay.
And the news always leads us to think otherwise,
The opposite,
because they don't stand there. Well, I'm phoning in from a country that's been at peace for 40 years. It's like car crashes are more common than plane crashes. But everybody gets a new car. I'm going to work, but get on a plane. No, I'm not flying. It's too dangerous. But the numbers point otherwise, because our brains warp we're very bad intuitive statisticians. But when the scientists and the social scientists look at the numbers and crunch the numbers. Where was I going with this? What was your question?
We were talking about the duality of civilization and nature.
Civilization is an entropy hog. It is a waste producing. It is a killing machine up until now. I mean, maybe we'll invent this, the biomimetic ecosystem like cities that produce more biomass than they consume, and zero wastes and zero throughput and all those fancy ideas. Permaculture, all those great things. But the irony will have been that they will have come from civilization, which is housed in libraries, because that's where the knowledge is stored.
That's exactly right.
The printing press changed humanity. Libraries have changed humanity. And that dumb... Can we do a beep here? The dumb beep head from Forbes who wanted to get rid of them and replace them with Amazon. I'm all for technological progress, but whoa!
Yeah, I mean, surely they just didn't see the value that they have. I mean, perhaps they've never been to a library themselves. It's hard to say.
But the question is brilliant, because it's that huge trade-off. How do you preserve the value of civilization, of the Enlightenment? The justice system. It's not perfect. Democracy, not perfect, but we're still trying to do our bit over here. You are.
Absolutely.
And that's worth pursuing. But once you realize that in order to, an economy has to grow 2% every year, that means energy consumption has to increase 3 to 5% every year. So how do you, and so meanwhile, and this morning I was up with my 11-year-old kid messing around in the woods, building a lean-to, and we found a red eft. You know what that is?
I don't know what that is.
It's the larval stage of a spotted newt, red-spotted newt, which is an aquatic species. It's an amphibian. But to disperse naturally, for its population to disperse, they leave the water and then they become like traveling wood trolls or gnomes or something, and they have this little beautiful little red candy wrapper skin thing, and little red, bright fluorescent red dots on it, and they become terrestrial, and they walk through the leaves and the driest areas until they get to the next lake, and that's usually a year later, and they become adult newts, which are salamanders. And then we found an orange-bellied snake, and we found a garter snake, and I taught them the difference between male and female garter snakes and how to hold them up by the tail so they don't lash out and bite you in case it was a cobra or a...
Well, I'd love to hear more later about your adventures, because just a brief research showed me that you've been all over the world, many cities, many forests, all over the place. So
yeah,
I'd love
guess
to talk
where
about
I am now. I'm back in Vermont.
And we're glad you're here, David. And while you're here, could we get another song from you? We've got
sure.
a few more minutes left in the show.
Somebody has to pick it out of the bag. I'm sorry, I'm not.
All right, who's up this time?
Serendipity. Anybody in?
Toss it on over to Bob there.
There he is.
One of our engineers, Bob, choosing from the bag.
Sealed shut on me, too.
Mm.
Oh, this one feels good.
And the grand result?
Hope in the dark.
Hope in the dark.
Of violence overall declining.
Yeah.
That book.
Rebecca Solnit, the essayist, she's to put it lightly, I think she's hard left. She's progressive, very progressive. But she knows how to stop and take the barometric reading and crunch numbers, look and compare 500 years ago with today, and have things improved as much as we want? No, but have they? Yes. And I think it's important for people, advocates of progressive change, to take a measure, because otherwise we get a bit too depressed.
Absolutely.
When you're out on a road, when you're out of sight, when you're out of your mind, when you're out of here, but you're out alone, when you're out of control, hope in the dark is who we are. Hope in the dark is all we are. When you're out of ammo, when you're out of faith, when you're out of the race, when you're out of your ways, when you're out of a guy, when you're out of a fight, tally on tally ho, hope in the dark is who we are, lest we forget all that we are. When you're out of mojo, when you're out of moves, when you're out of a breath, when you're out of wind, you're out of time, when you're out of a light, tally on tally ho, hope in the dark is a lot of me. Hope in the dark is a God.
Lovely. Hope in the Dark, the fourth track from the new CD, Book of Zoo. David Rosane in the Zookeepers. Thank you so much for coming into the studio today and performing for us. Tracks from your new album, which I hold here in my hand for anybody watching
Well, the Vermont media has been spectacular. They have been so generous, so we can only thank you. 7 days, a great review, a great little extra, another piece about the library tour. Rutland Herald wrote a review, awesome. VPR calls me up one day, I burst into tears. I gotta go to radio. So I go with the VPR, and then WCX says, hey, this is interesting. Well, let's do it. So he comes down to Bradford before the gig and does a. So thank you all.
And I got a shout out to Valley News because that's our area. Valley News. Also.
Valley News. Okay.
Beautiful. Shout out those local sources. Yeah, doing a great job. We appreciate it. And that the message in that last song of and right before the song we were speaking on the necessity of being optimistic if we're going to make a positive change. And that reminds me, I found this, if you don't mind me sharing, from your Bandcamp, a quote that you shared, David, a proverb. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I thought that was incredible and totally present in your music. And I love that that sentiment.
Well, it's funny that I should quote that because I'm a bit of a sociopath. I like to.
And a pessimist.
But I'm always smiling, honey. Anyway, we've got people listening to us in France right now because a lot of the people who helped, we did kind of a crowd sourcing of Zoo our own way, kind of weirdly. And so a lot of people in France, but people I know said, hey, you're going to fight Trump in the libraries. It's very good. So they gave us all the money. And my lovely better half, shout out to Anne Lisbeth, who sells a country as a living. She's works for the Norwegian. Works for the Norwegian government, and she has to market an entire country. So a library tour, come on. So she helped me put out a press release and out a Zoo, and she helped with the dress code too, which was great.
Great.
Can I quickly plug the libraries we're playing at?
Yes, absolutely. Please read them off.
So, love you, babe. So, what's coming up? Waitsfield is tomorrow. That's where Who's He What's It comes from. Grace Potter.
Yes.
Bakersfield, where Will Patton is from.
Will Patton.
Fairfax, so the Bakersfield is on the 28th. Fairfax is August 3rd. Groton is August 4th. It's a teeny tiny little library. Vergennes, which is spectacular. Have you been to the public library in Vergennes? Oh man, and it's a city, so it's 4 small towns that donate for that one library.
Oh, beautiful.
Montpelier does the same thing. The 4 or 5 towns contribute taxpayer money to one. Hyde Park is the 17th of August, and it was so cute. They had to change the date because there was what was the other? A ballet with all the kids. So we were going to have like 0 people and $0. So we had already done the graphics and stuff. I said, no. This is a grassroots library tour. We can change the date. So 8/17 Hyde Park, 8/18 Montgomery, way up yonder. You can see Canada from there. And 8/25 in Chelsea, which is near Bradford, in Orange County.
Great. If you're in any of those locations or anywhere near, definitely check it out. Definitely come out, catch some more of this great live music. Would you like to do one more live in the studio? If you have one prepared?
Yeah, but somebody's got to pick it out.
Okay, that's the rule. We're down with it. David Rosane is here on 105.9 with the Zookeepers. We're having a great time. Thank you all so much for coming in, and thank you all for listening
Ian's
in.
going to be picking it out this time. Okay.
Engineer Ian is reaching into the purple bag. Ian?
Jingle.
Oh, already played that one.
Skip.
The Real World.
Got The Real World. 105.9 The Radiator. You've got it locked here. David Rosane and the Zookeepers giving us a great live performance. After this one, stay tuned. We're going to have Lapis Pop on here. We're going to be going through some tracks and talking about some great music.
Sorry, I have to tune up. Can somebody say something about libraries?
Ooh, a lovely...
Say something about the melodica.
My town is building a new library.
Ooh, a brand new
Are you on the
library.
island?
Maybe that's on the next year's tour.
Where's that? Shelburne.
Shelburne.
Yes.
Really?
Yes. So our library right now is in a athletic field house for a year.
Oh, cool. Maybe we'll come there next year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, the real world, it being the real world, it takes time to do things. Rome wasn't built in a day, and we're going to make this a long-term project. So next year we're going to come back, and we're going to ask some of the bigger talent. I mean, I'm not going to shy after doing this. I'm not going to shy away from anything. I'm going to ask, who are the big stars? Come on, give me some. Cat Wright. Well, everybody always says Cat Wright.
What about those great kids, the Gang of Thieves?
Well, they inspired us a lot because they did that tour where they, before each gig, they go out and they do volunteer work.
Oh, volunteer work for the show. That's beautiful, yeah.
So we owe them a lot. I think we stole that idea, didn't we? So yeah, the more the merrier. So we're going to try and get some big names in, and so we're dreaming of library gigs, thousands of people in a field somewhere going to libraries. Because when I grew up, libraries weren't cool. Rock and roll was cool. Libraries sucked when I was a kid. You couldn't make noise in one, and let alone play music. And now we're trying to make it the cool thing to do.
Yeah, now that you're rocking out. Check out David Rosane and the Zookeepers online. Check them out, their Bandcamp, their Facebook. They've got the information, and next year they're going to have another great tour, it sounds like.
And a shout out to all the people who worked on the album. Don, you want to go quickly through a list of all the people?
Andre McCara, Will Patton, Al Z, more closer, Al Z, Perry Andrews, Joe Suchaki.
And who was Andre again? Remind everybody who Andre.
Andre McCara is 8084's lead guitar player.
Oh, great.
He's almost as old as me, and he can still jump this high off the ground.
Nice.
It's insane. I don't know how he does it.
He runs West Street Digital in St. Albans.
Oh,
an amazing
nice.
recording studio.
And
Yo.
I probably left out a bunch of people.
Yeah.
I just can't remember right.
Well, thank you to everybody involved in the zoo.
Well, we're going to Neil Young it. This is slightly out of tune.
All right.
What do people do inside the real world? How do people live inside the real world? What are they thinking in that real world? How could you save if it's a free world? Do they shine like you and me? Do they live so carelessly? Who wants to walk into the real world? Who wants to jump in for a swim? Do they ever rock out in that real world? If you wanna see, you surely can. Do they shine like you and me? Do they live so carelessly? And do they fight repeatedly? Or do they break so easily? Do they smile about tomorrow? Or do they cry for yesterday? For yesterday? Do they shine like you and me? Do they live so carelessly? And do they fight repeatedly? And do they break so easily? And do they shine? Do they live? Do they smile about tomorrow? Or do they cry for yesterday? For yesterday? For yesterday?
Another great track from David Rosane and the Zookeepers. Catch them on their Vermont Library Benefit Tour. Check out their new album, Book of Zoo, online. Either way, all proceeds, all benefits are going towards Vermont libraries. We're keeping it local, supporting the community. They're doing fantastic work out here. We really appreciate it. On behalf of Big Heavy World and everybody who engages with their community libraries, we sincerely thank you for the work you're doing, and thank you so much for coming in and playing for us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're going to send it off with one more track from you. Stay tuned, everybody. We're going to keep streaming. We're going to go right to Steve Smith.
Can I interject?
Please.
So this is typically me. I'm sorry.
Go right ahead, David.
No, it's just that there's a very quick quote. Do we have time?
Absolutely.
We forgot to thank all the partnering libraries, of course.
Go right ahead.
Susan Smolinski, who is the librarian in Richford, who helped this show get on the road, and she sent me a quote today, which I'm going to read very quickly, from a very important library scientist, and why libraries are important. There are a number of ways one could address the concerns of the public library community with the broader context of a democratic political system. As the public storehouse of knowledge, the public library can be viewed as a free society's insurance that all ideas will be accessible to everyone who may want them. Ideas and information are certainly available elsewhere, but no other agency or organization can guarantee such a wide accessibility to ideas of all kinds that will be free of charge to all its customers. Private media often do not provide the kind of in-depth and comprehensive access to all ideas that can be found in a library. Without this kind of accessibility provided somewhere within society, the danger of tyranny increases. The importance of the public library, then, lies in its availability somewhere within society as that society's last defense against the possibilities of oppression.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that you interjected with that, and it reminds me I'd like to thank all public librarians out there. You can't just thank the libraries and not the people who make them happen. So thank you to all the librarians out there. We're going to send it off with one more track, Judgment Day, recorded track from the album, David Rosane and the Zookeepers, Book of Zoo. Like I said, check it out online, facebook.com / David Rosane and the Zookeepers. That's ROSANE. Please check it out, enjoy it, and stay tuned for the next interview.
And thank you, James, and thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Whoa.
Well done, you guys.
Every day is Judgment Day. And every day is a beautiful day. And every day is the hardest day. When every day is a happy day. Across the valley up to the mountain. Across that river up through the hills. We stay connected to the outside world. It's just you and me and them out there. When every day they laugh and point and stare. And every day they rank and file, I hear. 'Cause every day is Judgment Day.